May 31st here in southern Ontario. So I have an update on what happened in Switzerland last week with the World Health Organization's, gotta watch my terminology here, their panda preparedness treaty. You know what I mean by the panda. Now, let me start off by saying, followers on this channel, you're not taking this issue seriously enough. I may be so audacious as to badger you. On my YouTube, there were like 800 and some odd views on that video. On TikTok, there was over 100,000. And I have like 7,000 followers on TikTok and 11,000 on YouTube. So please, take this issue seriously. Now let me explain what happened. This panda medic preparedness treaty document, if you want to see that, you can find it. I don't know how to attach links, and I'm out of data at home here, so I can't even Google it and tell you how to Google it. But you can go to Redacted with Clayton Morris. They have a link. You can read the document, and you should. It's scary. Well, let's just touch on some of the points of it. The most important point is that any government that signs on to this, any country, it usurps their constitution. The founding fathers in the U.S. would be rolling in their graves on this one. It just supersedes any and every country's constitution, Bill of Rights, Charter of Rights, whatever the case may be. That's out the window. Should be pointed out, in 2021, Joe Biden signed on to this. Justin Trudeau, Boris, what's his name? Boris Johnson, then leader of the UK. So anyways, last week they got through, hammered out some more amendments, and every time this treaty is redrawn, it gets scarier. So the final draft will be completed in July of this year, with the final signing in 2024. Now this gives us a little breathing space, because originally it was going to be signed this fall, in September, I think. But let me just touch on a couple of more scary points, besides that it supersedes your country's constitution, making them, the WHO, omnipotent. It's a binding contract. So anyways, a couple of things. States right in the treaty that the infodemic is a health risk, and that control of mis and disinformation must be attained by them. So you think Bill C-11's bad in Canada, giving Trudeau regime control of social media? Well, just think about the implications of that. Now, they don't even have to declare that there is another panda got loose from the zoo. If they feel preparing for one is necessary, then they have this omnipotent power. Again, the infodemic is a health risk, and mis and disinformation must be controlled. Only their narrative. Because otherwise our mental health is at risk if we were to consider maybe there might be two sides to an argument other than just their narrative. I know I'm beleaguering that point. So if they say, well, we feel preparing is necessary, so let's say, for example, your country has to go into lockdown. Your country doesn't have a say in it because you signed the binding agreement, so everybody's in lockdown. If your country can't afford the surveillance to make sure that that's happening, they will provide it for you. Your country will get billed for it. So the state parties, then, your country, your state, has no say in anything. Let's say, hypothetically, for example, They said, okay, Canada, you got to go into lockdown again. So your citizens are all going to need a curb check. And this is part of the treaty. The WHO will decide, after looking at your gross domestic product and your debt and all that stuff, you can afford it. Lock them down, give them a curb check, you can afford it. And if you can't, which like Canada couldn't right now, for example, then the IMF will provide the funding, which is just another way of buying the country. And the IMF is part of the WHO, which is part of the WEF. And just in summation, it should be pointed out that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation provides 88% of the WHO's funding. Yeah, the same Bill Gates who said there's too many people, and the way to control that is through those things. And I think I forgot to mention the WHO will decide what and when those things are, who will provide them, who will pay for them, and who will get the money. Sound like an owl, don't I? Hoo, hoo, hoo. Yeah, well, woo, woo, woo. So come on, people. Pay a mind to this. This has to be stopped. It absolutely has to. And again, I'll remind you, if you're in the States, because it's a done deal here in Canada. Like I say, Trudeau's already just carte blanche. Whatever you guys want, I signed it in advance. No problemo. Biden signed on to this in 2021. So does he think he's going to change his mind? Well, I kind of doubt it. When's your next election down there? Can you get rid of Biden before? They didn't say when it comes into effect in 2024. Again, the final draft is released in July. And I would imagine it just takes them a while to get everybody to sign on. So, it could even be before 2024, couldn't it? Anyways, yeah, don't ignore this one. Don't do it. It'll be interesting to see. I know this is a long video, so I might as well ramble. A lot of people, you've stopped listening already anyways. But as I said, the Celtic Canuck is doing a dive into the WEF. And that's a big rats warren down there. But I'm curious, and I'm quite certain, as we follow her videos in this series, we're going to see that she backs me up 100%. And discovering that you see the same faces and the same names at the WHO as you do the WEF, as you do the IMF, as you do the UN, and even NATO. So, this, in my mind, is the biggest control grab imaginable. Again, to think it supersedes and is omnipotent over top of every country that signs on to this accord, treaty, document, whatever you want to call it. It is a one world government at that point, is it not? Seems to be to me. Spread the word, people.